Hi, and welcome to Messages of Joy. My name is Joy Koff, and I am the owner of Miracles of Joy. And today it is my great pleasure to be interviewing one of our local teachers in the area who goes around Texas. His name is Chuck Murphy. And Chuck Murphy is a psychic medium, but because of his classes and workshops that he's been teaching, he's more of an intuitive, and he is a mentor for those that want to come forward and start to develop their psychic ability. So welcome, Chuck.
Hey, welcome aboard. How did you get to be on the beach and I'm stuck in an office? I don't know how that
Just luck.
Oh, it's that psychic thing. I get it.
So let's explain to people out there, what is it that you do? I know that you're switching. You spend most of your time as a psychic medium,
right?
But I know that you've also taught a lot of classes where you're developing a lot of psychics and mediums, and now you're more of an intuitive and a mentor. So what is that?
Well, intuitive is just the 2017 or 2018 version of psychic medium, I think. And spiritual intuitive, psychic medium, it's kind of the same thing. It doesn't seem as off-putting to some people, I've noticed. Some people will look at you a little funny when they go, psychic medium. But when you say I'm a spiritual intuitive, they're like, oh, really? Oh, well, that's interesting. What is that? And then it seems to open the doors more. I don't know. People, I think, have just developed sort of a what's that decided definition of what a psychic medium is.
Right.
So spiritual intuitive catches them off guard, if nothing else, and it makes them stop for a second and think. The mentoring part was because more and more, well, first off, when I started like 24, 25 years ago, it was impossible to find anybody to teach you. I mean, it was basically you had to read a book if you could find a book. At the time, most of the books were by Sylvia Browne. Those were about the only ones that were out there. And she never really taught how to do anything. She just explained what happened. And so I felt, like there was always this need to develop a class where somebody who was like me 20 or some odd years ago could take this class and they would literally learn everything that I had to learn sort of piecemeal. They could get it all in one intensive weekend or over a period of time in private classes. So that's what I do now. And it's really kind of cool to be able to go into a fair like at yours or Dallas or wherever and go, oh, there's one of my, oh, there's a student. Oh, there's another one. It's kind of makes you feel good. When you're getting old, you like to have a legacy. So I'm leaving little apples there all around.
So when did you begin doing this professionally?
I actually changed. I was a kind of a cradle Catholic and mistook my desire for spirituality as a desire for religiosity, I think is how that's pronounced. And so I just did everything I could do in the church. And I was actually in the diaconate program and about to be ordained as a deacon. And I just decided, you know what, I cannot do this anymore. This is just not for me. And that was in 1990. So I quit. And then within a matter of about 6 to 8 months, 21-year marriage ended. My parents both passed. My business was in trouble. I had become a leper, obviously, at the church. So I was in a pretty low spot there. And a friend of mine suggested I talk with a counselor because I was getting pretty depressed. And his basic message to me was, maybe this isn't God or spirit punishing you because you've made these horrible decisions in your life. Maybe it's just spirit kind of getting things set up for you and going, yeah, let's do this. But first, we got to take care of this. And we got to clean up that marriage thing and da-da-da-da-da, which is exactly what it turned out to be. And, so here I am, 6 years later. When did I actually start professionally? I did my first reading professionally in 97. So
it's been a while.
I've done a few. Especially, it always cracks me up when somebody goes, you gave me a reading about a year ago. I'm sure you remember we were talking about, and I'm like, I don't even remember what I had for breakfast. Are you kidding me? It's a hard thing for me. I have to remember pants every day now at my age, So.
So how do you present your work to someone that may not know? Like when you go out in your everyday life and you meet friends and different things like that, if they're not affiliated with this, or you're in a grocery store and someone says, hey, what do you do for a living? How do you present that?
Well, I actually also, I went back to college, got my degrees. I just, matter of fact, got my master's a while back. And I have a spiritual counseling practice. That's actually that, between that and teaching, and those are pretty much the two things I do the most of. I do most readings. Well, I do a lot of private readings too. So, but anyway, spiritual counseling is what I say. I'm a counselor. I'm a spiritual counselor, and I've got two offices: my home office, and then I have an office in McKinney, also in a doctor's suite. So, that's where I start, and then they'll say, "Well, what's spiritual counseling about?" And you start kind of opening up a few doors, explaining about that, and then you can kind of ease into the intuitive stuff without people going, "Oh, get back," right? We are in that part of the country where that could be the reception we get sometimes.
So how old were you when you first recognized your gift? And the reason I'm asking this question is I would say that I recognized this as a child, or as a teenager, and I kind of pushed it in a back corner for 20 years before I went back and pulled it back out.
Exactly. Sort of the same thing for me. I always had a really strong precognitive thing going. Even as like 5 or 6 years old, I always knew something was going to happen, or just before, even as simple as a parent going off the hinges and throwing a fit, or I just knew. I mean, and then I seemed to be able to get through most everything. And so I actually started off writing it off as, well, I just am one lucky guy. I just seem to have a lot of luck. Things always work out for me. And then I started realizing, wait, I know these things ahead of time. That's kind of weird. And, growing up in the 50s and 60s, if you said you were psychic back then, they would chain you up and haul you off. So, yeah. But, as time went on, I guess I was late 20s, early 30s, I started noticing that I could read people without really understanding it. Most people would discount it. My first wife used to always think I was insane because I'd go, no, really, they're lying to us. It's something, and she, how do you know that? They're the nicest people around, la, la, la. And I'd go, no, I just know it. There's something not right here. And then, of course, even when it worked out that I was correct, you know how that goes. So that's why we're not married. That's probably one of the big reasons right there.
Because you're always right.
Until I met my second wife, Sunny, who now I realize is really the one who's always right. And so I'm right that she's right. That's how I get away with that. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, it was like I didn't really realize that it was a psychic gift until probably my mid-40s. And by then I was still sort of in the Catholic mindset. So it was more focused around talking to angels as opposed to talking to people in spirit. Although that's what it was, I just, at the time I had to be, that's what felt comfortable and safe, put it that way. And then as you get more and more into it, I just, in 90, 91, I just dove in head first and went nuts.
So what motivates you to do this work?
I absolutely love it, for one thing. It's just fun and exciting. I really like the ability, and I know you'll understand this too, of being able to go to sleep in the evening and honestly be able to tell myself there's at least one person in a better place than they were when they woke up this morning because of a reading or something with a mediumship connection, whatever. Somehow or another, I've helped one person in a way that's really very personal, and intimate, which, you understand what I mean in readings. So, I mean, that's the motivator. God knows it isn't the money. That's for sure. I tell all new students that if you're getting into this for the money, let's just save us both some time right now and part friends. Okay. So long. See you around. But yeah, I mean, I've never been more busy. I'm almost 70, and I swear the last 10 years, I've worked my behind off 100 times more than I did when I worked in media. It's too, it's a lot more intense because it's a lot of mental and spiritual energy involved, not so much physical, but the mental stuff will wear you down, and you're an empath. I am. We got to be careful with what we pick up from others, cleanse ourselves all the time. So, I'm going to blame it on age. I forgot. What did you ask me?
Well, What motivates you to do this work?
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. Okay, there it is. Well, it helps me keep my memory sharp, for one thing. It's just, I just enjoy it. You know, I enjoy helping people, and there's a real personal satisfaction, which I hope isn't falling into ego somehow, but there's a real personal satisfaction, you know, in running into like Rachel, who just started reading for you guys last month. And she's like, oh my God, that was the coolest weekend I ever had. It was so amazing. I did great. And, you know, and it's just like, it's like raising kids over and over again, and seeing them succeed. It's a really nice feeling.
So how do you connect to spirit? I mean, is there a ritual that you do on a daily basis, meditation?
Well, I do try to meditate every morning. I'm usually an early riser. I get up around 4:30 just because it's nice and quiet. And when the weather's nicer, I like to go out on the porch and kind of greet the sunrise, if you will. But if people think that I'm out there chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, I'm probably looking over the CNN news and drinking coffee. But what's happened is I've reached that stage like you do in a marriage, when it's not the passion's gone, the love is actually deeper, the connection's stronger, but you just kind of, it's just sort of the natural thing. You just, you know, I don't go out and particularly sit now and meditate every single day. Now I do cleanse my office or whatever with, you know, Florida water, candles, incense. I do that every single day. I always keep a candle burning. I guess that's the Catholic in me. But outside of that, when I first started, yeah, I had this whole drawn out 30, 40-minute routine every day. And before I'd get ready to do a reading, I'd be like, okay, pumping up here, you know, and now it's like, okay, honey, I love you. Bye. Kiss her. She goes out the back door. I walk in. Hi, I'm Chuck. What's your name? Okay, what are we going to do today? And we just do it. And I'm assuming it's not because of a lack of respect for the gift or gross negligence or nonchalance on my part. It's just, it's kind of, I don't think my doctor goes and breaks out his medical books before he walks in to see what I'm coming in for after a while. He knows. And you're the same way. I hope, I think.
Part of it is like, I'll have people ask me, so how do you do this? And I'm like, I will have a conversation like I'm having a conversation with you. You know, it's like, it's kind of like, I don't have to really do anything special. If I have something going on in my life that I need some sort of assistance with, I will go, okay, guys, you know, this is really bothering me right now, and I really need you to kind of get this moving in the right direction. What is it that I need to do? You know, what is it that I'm not doing? What is it that I'm not seeing? And kind of wait for that information to come to me. And how spirit talks to me is in several ways. Talks to me outside of myself. Like if all of a sudden I open up a book and boom, there's the word of what it is that I need. I said it's about being willing and being open and realize that you could just have a conversation like you do with a friend.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing. I think that that's what I was trying to get to with the relationship comparison, is that it gets to where you become, and I think that's the way it's supposed to be, you're best friends with all these people. And you don't have to call your best friend and go, hi, you know, I know when I met you in high school, we first started and we had, you don't have to go through the whole history. You just go, hey, Bob, what's up? Look, I got something going on here, man. What's happening with this? And maybe I take a little more liberty than you're doing, but many times I just go, you always fix this. This is a mess. Fix it. Thank you. I'll check back when, you know, in a while. And I just assume you got this because that's what you do.
Right.
And it's sort of like you assume, you know, your partner's going to take care of things that you need, or, oh, she needs gas in the car, I'll stop and get that on the way home or whatever. Well, it's kind of the same thing in this. I think the biggest disappointment for most of my students is that there isn't that moment when the heavens open and the light shines and, hello, Chuck, this is God. You know, it's never like that. It's always, hey, dumbass, pay attention. You've got the answer right in front of you. Wake up, Murphy.
I tell them if they want that, I said, if you want that, be ready to be brought down to your knees. And what I mean by that is I've had situations where I remember in my early 20s, I had a situation where I asked God to prove to me this was real. Okay. Prove it to me. this is
Yeah.
real, that not
And
even
how'd that work out for you? Good luck.
And when you end up at a house that you were at 15 years old, where a guy's doing channeling in it, and you walk up and you go, and it's just like your knees buckle, and you go, this is not, I mean, this is beyond a coincidence. This is
Right.
just, you know. So there's those, you know, those situations that if you really need that and you say, okay, I don't know if this is the right path or not, but you need to prove to me it's real, they will. But
They will.
hold on for the ride, because
Yes.
it will make your knees buckle, and it will make you realize that your life is part of destiny. It's part of the path that you're on.
The mentor I had originally, Jim, said, are you sure you want to know all this? You're sure you really want to open this door or let the genie out or whatever? And I went, yeah, why? What are you trying to say here? Because you're acting all apprehensive. And he goes, well, the best way I know to describe it is it's like a sheet lightning enema. Be ready for this. If you're going to go, okay, but just know that it's not this little, we're all cherubs and we have harps and we're floating on clouds. It'll be boom. And you know as well as I do, knowing stuff, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but knowing stuff ahead of time, sometimes that really blows. It's not really fun at all to know how something's going to turn out when it's not.
And in some cases, be careful what you ask for.
Exactly.
Because if there's certain people in your life that aren't meant to be part of your life and they're not part of your path, Spirit has a way of moving them all out at the same time, where you think your life is falling apart or it's really a disaster happening. But what it is it's part of your evolution. It's part of pushing you forward and moving forward. And you can kind of look back at those situations and say, oh my God, that was perfect.
That's exactly what happened to me in 1991.
It was perfect.
Yeah. I'd had all these years as a Catholic going, well, I just told God to stuff it. I'm not going to be a deacon after all. And now God's punishing me. The world's falling apart, and then I realize now looking back, it's like, I mean, I laugh now, it's been so long,
right.
But I mean, I look back and I go, well, yeah, that marriage never would have worked with this, and the parents, the judgment and the business and all the time I was spending with it. I mean, all these wonderful things came out of it, including meeting Sonny 2 years later. So, I mean, everything worked out great. It didn't seem so at the outset, which I tell people too. Hey, it may look a little bumpy going in, but it's kind of like the roller coaster. That first drop is always the worst, but after that, it could be fun.
I tell people it's really about having an open heart, but you're absolutely right. Some people think that, stepping into this business, that all of a sudden you just put out a shingle and then you get clients that come flying up in the front door, and there's, you don't really have to work at it. There's no such thing as marketing. No. Spirit's going to bring it to me.
If there's one thing Spirit pretty much gives me the middle finger on, it's that, like, Chuck, we are not going to market this for you. Okay. We'll do all the gifting part. We'll get you the info, pal, but get out there and do a little work yourself, So it's a business, which sometimes people think cheapens the idea, but no. I mean, we still have to pay rent. You have a brick and mortar location. You got staff. You got events, electricity. I have a house, kids. God, kids, so many kids, and all with their hands out, of course. I keep moving. They keep finding me. Damn, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So yeah, I mean, you still have to eat. My joke is always, the stars work for free, but Chuck needs a little bread on the table. So I have to charge you for this. And that was a mistake. I don't know if we're jumping subjects too much, but that was a mistake I made. And I see a lot of new readers do this, is feeling really guilty for charging for things, quote, spiritual. Right. Well, I can't really charge for something God gave me for free or whatever. And it's like, that's part of how God is helping you support yourself. So yeah, you can charge. And I think that, you and I both know there's got to be some energy exchange. Even if a client can't afford a regular session fee, I'll say, like, well, the next time you see a guy on the street or a woman on the street, give them $10, or, pick up somebody's hamburger the next time you go through Whataburger or whatever. But there's got to be something you could do that's an energy exchange.
What I notice about that is, and I totally agree, because there's people that will say, you know, why do you charge for this? And I will turn around. I've had someone challenge me, and I say, so do you work for free? This is my living. This is what I've chosen as a living. What do you do for a living to pay your mortgage?
Exactly.
And it's kind of like it, and it's kind of like on this planet, we have decided an exchange of energy happens to be money. That's what we chose as an exchange of energy. You do this and you get this. I do this and I get this. That's just what we have decided on this planet as a whole. What is our exchange of energy?
But in essence,
an interesting concept for new people. It's really an interesting concept because I see that as well. And part of it is that I turn around and say, I remember my first lesson that I ever learned is I had a guy who was coming to me, and I was doing healings for free because he was in disability, and he wasn't getting any better, and he was doing it for a year. And I was doing this for a year. I'm coming in on my day off to do a healing for him, and he's not getting any better. And then what happened was I said, you know what? Maybe it's just not me that needs to, you know, maybe you need someone else. And then someone came in who was a healer, and he turns around. He says, I don't do it for free. And all of a sudden, and he goes, well, I'm on disability. I don't have any money. He goes, but I know you do artwork. I want a piece of artwork for an exchange of a healing. So what happened was he exchanged a piece of artwork for the healing, and he got better. I realized because that was that was a lesson that Spirit gave me to learn in that moment. And what happened was, what he did is he didn't only make a piece of artwork for this guy. He came in and he made this huge piece of artwork for me to give me for all the healings that he's done. And I said, that's what made the energy flow back and forth. It was a give and take, and it brought it back into balance for each other.
And it doesn't always have to be, like you're saying, it doesn't have to be, you know, 50 pounds of golden coin from a Spanish galleon. I mean, it could be literally, hey, you know, grab me lunch next time you see it. Give me a fish sandwich or something. Because that used to be what I struggled with. I would go, well, wait a minute, this person's really hurting. They're going through a really horrible time, whether it's, I'm not a healer, so mine was always more the counseling or the reading part. But they don't have the money to pay me. Is it right for me not to give them their comfort and do, you know, help anyway? Like, I know you can't pay for this, but you need to know your mom is still around you or whatever.
Right.
And so I would always do that and feel like I feel guilty. It's what motivated me. And that's what I realized was part of the reason why it wasn't having as maybe a profound effect on them as I was hoping it would, is because I was coming from a place of guilt, not a place of service. And that's really what we're supposed to be doing. Not that we have to be getting money. I mean, you know, if somebody says, look, I got $5, chances are 99 out of 100, I'll go, yeah, that's fine. Here's what let's sit down and do a quick reading. But, you know, and even if they say I don't have any cash, well, you know, you do the same thing. So we always get the message.
I listened to my guidance, because what happened was I turned to my guides at that time. And I turned around and said, I don't understand, you know, I don't understand this. And they said, we didn't tell you to heal everyone that walked in the door. We'll let you know which ones need help. Yeah. And I went, oh, okay.
Yeah, you're not supposed to read everybody, Chuck. That's why there's 10 other readers here. See, so the ones that need you, we'll send to you. How's that? You know, yeah. And I noticed that that seems to be what the two biggest things I see new readers struggle with is that, and then, like you said, not taking it serious as a business. Hey, I'm a reader. I just graduated. I'm great. Come see me. And then 3 months later, they're burned out and depressed, and they're like, well, this is terrible. I've only had one reading, you know, and it's sad. I've seen a lot of people, though, shut their doors over that very thing. So.
Right. So part of it is what they're looking for, and what they need is mentors that are going to help them through those challenging times. So tell us a little bit about the mentoring that you do for readers. Like, how does someone find out more about this?
Well, obviously the course is zerotopsychic.com. It talks pretty much on there about everything. So I'll just leave it at that. Go look at that, and we won't waste time here. The course is designed for somebody who's already pretty open and moving along, needs just some direction and well, discipline, maybe some structure to what they're doing, but is already on the road, and also all the way to those who can't even spell the word psychic. That's fine. You can get in, and we can get you there. We offer it two ways. We offer it as weekend intensives, like we do at Miracles, where we go all day Saturday, all day Sunday, just boom, 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 boom. We don't even take meal breaks. We just work through. And then I offer it private one-on-one for those that don't particularly do well in a classroom setting. Your classes, thank you, are always wonderful, huge, 20, 25, 30 people. So, I mean, there's a lot of energy in that room. And some people thrive on that, but as you know, others are really shunned.
Intimidated.
Exactly. So they do much better on just, we meet each week for a couple hours, and we take 10, 12 weeks to do it or whatever. The mentoring that I throw in over and over again, and I'm actually getting ready to introduce a whole new course or class workshop just on it, is the actual business side of this. Look, you've got to get business cards. You've got to look at setting up an LLC or limited partnership or something to protect yourself. You've got to file a DBA if you're going to use Spiritual Journeys as your name. Okay, well, that needs a DBA. File that. It takes 5 seconds. But all the little business parts that they don't think of, you need a PayPal account or a Square account. You need some sort of brochure to promote who you are. I mean, if I came to your fair and I didn't know who Barbara Jones was, and she doesn't have something out there for me to read, there's no way I'm going to pick her.
Right.
I'm going to pick somebody that I know or I can see. Yeah. And they're like, that's what's so funny, is because so many of them say, well, wait, I thought that's why Spirit brought me to this and led me through this whole journey of becoming an intuitive and learning and was so that they could bring all these people to me. And it's like, no, that's not exactly why they did that. They helped you step into the truth of who you are, yes, and become the full you. But that part, yeah, that's kind of up to you. You're going to have to work on it. And
there's a little term that when I do one-on-one coaching for people that I say, I turn around and say, you know what? I said, you got to look at it this way. Your ego has to not hook, but their ego needs to see something in you to say you are the one they're supposed to go to.
Exactly.
Because what's coming to you is not a spiritually enlightened being. It's an ego.
Exactly.
That's looking for something. So you have to give something back to that ego where they can go, oh, yeah, that's what I need.
How many times have we both, over all these years, well, decades now, which is a scary thought that we can use that word, how many times have we had somebody say, I don't know, I was just drawn to you, or I just came in to the fair and for some reason they were just like, look right there, and there was your name, or so I mean, I know that's what happens. It's the case of accepting today I'll have 5 people show up, but next time I might have 15 people show up. It's just whoever needs that particular specialty that you're good in. If you give Spirit that opportunity, a lot of them block that out. They don't even offer that. That's always been the way I set it up. Bring to me those that I can help and can give some encouragement to or insight to. But the rest, 99% of the time, we mesh. But there's always one now and then, that I'll have to say, look, I just can't read you. I'm sorry.
Right.
It happens. And it's not because we're bad or we're not good at what we do. It's just, I can't read you.
There's an energy that just doesn't mesh at that particular time. And that's what I tell people. I'll have people come in and say, okay, Joy, who are your best readers? I only want to go to your best readers. And I can look I can look back there and I can say, okay, so there's not probably anyone at one of these tables that hasn't been my best reader and hasn't been my worst reader. So how do I answer that question?
Yeah. What do you want me to say to you? It's part of the game. Some people are going to walk away literally life changed and totally inspired. And others are going to walk away going, well, that's $25 I'll never get back. And
part of it is what I tell people is you really have to trust your own instinct and your own heart when you're picking people. I said, because that's your own internal guidance saying, this is the person for me. This is who I need to go to.
you come to me or come to you and say, I'm trying to connect more with spirit. I'm trying to learn more about my role in life and their role and all this. But then you're not even willing to let them guide you to the reader that you're supposed to. You know, hello,
Correct.
that's how it works. And it's very subtle. It's very quiet. It's just, hey, look at her. See, go over, see her. And many times, you know, even when I was first starting, I wouldn't even know the person's name. I'd have to go, who is that? You know,
Right.
because I just feel really drawn to them.
Right.
And sure enough, I'd go there and there'd be some big nugget of truth that would pop out. And I'd be like, whoa, that was crazy.
I can remember my first time going to a psychic fair, and I got a postcard at that time back in the mail.
Mm.
Fair, and it says you need to go see this, you know, and the numerologist kept jumping off of the page at me. So when I walked into the psychic fair, and I'm like, they go, do you know who you want to see? And the guy turns around, he goes, the numerologist is really good. Well, to me, that's my sign from spirit, because it came to me twice. So that's the person that I actually went to go see, and it was amazing experience. And that's how spirit works with this. It's kind of puts you in the right place at the right time.
Exactly.
Well, it has been my pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. We're out of time.
Oh, no. Did I out-talk David? Did I?
You did out-talk.
Gotcha, David. Okay.
So we're out of time. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap up here. And thank you so much for joining me today. And I will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye for now.